playing your brand new single, In Cold Blood, for I think like about a week or so now on our show, and we've been getting some absolutely great feedback. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you for that. That's awesome to hear, man. It's yeah, an honor. I really love that to hear that.
Now, I know a lot of our listeners are really looking forward to the new album coming out, but I thought it would be a great opportunity for your new Aussie fans that have fallen in love with the single to get to know a little bit about the band. If you could tell us a little bit about the history of the band and how you guys got together in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we have a bit of a history there. So, in early 2000s, there was actually the first moment that Bloodphemy was alive, and I was in a little bit of a different lineup. And they released a single EP. I wasn't involved in the band back then. And they released a single EP, and then basically the band died for a while. And then a couple of years ago, our current drummer and our guitarist that used to be up in the band up until this last album, they restarted the band, and actually we've been quite active. And a little after that, I joined them, and we've been very active. We released this is our third album right now, and an EP that were released since then. So yeah, it's they restarted the band, and it's been pretty awesome since then. Did a lot of shows around Europe. As I said, released a number of albums, and yeah, that seems to be going better and better every time we release something. So I'm really happy with that.
Awesome. And how did you come to join the band? Did you know about the band previously, or did you come into the band kind of cold with an audition?
Well, I did know the band, and I didn't really know the guys, but I did know the band. And after the singer that did the EP, he left the band, and then they were just in the process of recording. So at that moment, they hired someone else, or they asked someone else to do the vocal recordings for that album, just to get the album out in time. And that was the Bloodline album. And then after that, they were looking for a singer. And the funny thing is, when they recorded their first EP, that was actually done at the studio of a drummer I used to be in a band with. And so they just sent me a message I think it was on Facebook actually. They sent me a message, and it was like, dude, do you still like sing in bands? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they asked, are you interested in trying out for Bloodphemy? So yeah, I knew the band. I started listening to some more songs, and I was really impressed with what they were doing. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'd love to. So yeah, I went for an audition, and also the personalities really clicked. And so at that moment, we did the audition. I did a couple of songs, and yeah, from that moment on, it was history, I guess.
So tomorrow is a big day for the band with the release of the new album. How are you feeling today? Are you nervous, or you're excited about getting this new album out there?
I am super excited. The first reviews have been coming in, and of course it's always, I wouldn't say I'm actually nervous, but it's always a very exciting time, because we've been working on the album for so long, and like fine-tuning everything and making it up to our standards. And basically with every album we try to outdo ourselves and make it the best that we possibly can.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, I was going to ask that. What do you guys kind of what did you set out to achieve with this album?
Yeah, so, well, obviously we want to outdo ourselves, and in that regard it is an exciting time, because now we get to finally hear what other people think, and obviously we've played it in private for a couple of people just to get some feedback. First reviews are coming in, and they're generally pretty positive, I would say. Well, I don't think that's actually the right word. It's very positive. So we've been getting some great reviews now, so I'm fairly confident that people will love it. And the thing is, with this album, we now have a different guitar duo than we used to have. So and still our guitar player Winfred, who used to be in the band up until this album, he co-wrote some of the stuff. So it's sort of like a transitional album for us, where we move from when Winfred was doing most of the writing to like having a new writing crew, also a new guitar duo. And so this is very exciting, and I think you can hear that in the album as well. And for us, it's the first time we actually did a concept album with a complete story behind it. And so we wrote this story about a priest that is slowly going insane with his religious beliefs, and then he sees sin everywhere around him, becomes completely mad, and then starts slaughtering people, starting with his own family, which he no longer trusts. because he thinks they're sinful creatures, and he slaughters the entire family. So for this for us is a completely new thing. So it was kind of scary to do that, because when we first agreed on the concept, that was all fine, and then you had to actually go out and do it, which can be pretty daunting task. But I think we really succeeded there. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear what people think of it when they get to listen to the whole album.
Definitely, and having that concept and story there, how does that change the writing process? Does it change it very much from what you would have done in the past?
Yes, I would say definitely yes, because what we did in the past, we used to just like come up with songs, and then especially the guitar player Winfred was writing most of the songs back then. He would basically come up with the songs almost completely done, and then we would like fill in all of our parts, and then that worked for us pretty well. But now that we have a story and a concept, and one of the first things I did when I wrote the story was break it down into the different songs that we had. So we decided on a number of songs on the album, like This Is It, and then we sort of like broke the story down into chunks that could be individual songs, and then write the lyrics for that. But then during the writing of the lyrics, you would also get a certain feel, a certain atmosphere that you're looking for in the song. So we really went back and forth between the guitarist writing the parts and the drummer doing certain things that would fill in with a certain atmosphere. And then I think we co-wrote a lot of stuff, or at least maybe not right, but fine-tuned it and molded into the songs how they are now to fit with the atmosphere that was needed for the lyrics and the song.
Even having a different songwriting team for part of this album as well, how did that change things for you guys?
Well, it actually changed a lot. It was a fun process to be fair, because Winfred already wrote a number of the riffs and the parts, and so that was going very well. And then for personal reasons and also for work and other things, he decided to leave the band. And we only before that we just found a regular second guitarist, and we were kind of worried because we were actually looking for that second guitarist for a long time to have a steady band member. So actually it took us only a very small amount of time to find Bart willing to join the band, which we're very happy, because he used to be in Sinister back in the old days when they were pioneering Dutch death metal. So for us it was really cool to have him in the band. And then Arjan, our other guitar player, and Bart really started to rework the stuff that Winfred had already written, and come up with new stuff and fill in and expand upon what he'd already did. And so I think it's a real cool collaboration that happened there, and it definitely changed our process. But what I found really cool, and I'm really proud of the guys, that they were able to manage to, in such a relatively short amount of time, completely finish up the album and come up with great songs and solos and extra song structures and accents. And I was amazed by the fact that how fast they fell into that rhythm and were able to complete the album in such an awesome way.
Definitely. And this last 12 months, 18 months has been a weird place to be in. Like, we're still in lockdown here in Melbourne at the moment. Was it difficult to get together to even record parts of the album because of different lockdowns and quarantine and things like that?
Yes, it actually was. So we had to really navigate around those like lockdown rules and stuff. So for a large part of those 18 months, we were not able to practice at all. So we did send around to each other, we send each other audio files, to check out and do things. And at some point, I think it was like last summer, we were able to at least get together in small groups to do some testing and recording. And then I think most of the guitars were actually recorded at home, just laying down the dry tracks that could be reamped later. So that was something we could do at home, because we have some recording equipment, all of us, at our homes. And for the vocals, we actually had to go to our practice room, the center where we have our practice rooms. They had a room that we could use for vocal recording. We had to do some adjustments for the echoing and stuff like that to make it a little bit deader. But that worked. And then everything we got together, or actually they put it together at the studio, Sound Lodge Studios in Germany. And that was a bit scary because at that moment we were not even sure if we could go to the studio in Germany to actually put it all together and do it, like the re-recording of the guitars and the mixing and the mastering. So in the end, we were luckily one or two of us were able to go there and work with the producer Jurg, and he did an amazing job. And actually, we had to navigate around all kinds of craziness to be able to do that.
Yeah, and what's it like there now? I noticed that you guys have got some shows coming up in the Czech Republic. Is everything opened back up there now to the point where you can do shows? Because it's definitely not here.
No, it's actually that's super weird because in Holland we are not. Well, you can do shows, but it's up to, I think it's like, well, there's not a definitive number of people, but yeah, depending on the size of the venue, they can have some people in there, but it's like very little people, and they all have to sit down, and you like, this is really weird playing for those crowds. And we did one of those shows in The Hague for like 30 people sitting down, which was awesome to be on stage, but it was still weird to do it like that. And then I think in Czech Republic, right now they're managing the epidemic quite well. So there's small-time festivals going on. I don't think like the super big festivals are allowed to happen, but small-time festivals are allowed to happen. So actually tomorrow morning we're heading out on with the bus to Czech Republic to play a show at the Nice to Eat You Death Fest. And the week afterward we're going back to Czech Republic to play some festival called Burgfest. So we're really happy to actually be able to go there, even though in Holland, like, this is absolutely not happening. One of our biggest festivals in terms of metal festivals was actually cancelled, which is Dynamo Metal Fest, which was cancelled, sadly. And then the weekend later in Belgium, there was a big festival, I think it was 40,000 people or something like that, a metal festival for 2 or 3 days happening, was just over 200 kilometers away from here. So it's really weird to see how those rules are different from country to country. It's like super weird.
Definitely. And how excited are you about being able to play a show and play your new material? That must be something that you're really looking forward to.
Definitely, I just can't wait. I'm bouncing up and down, to be honest. Like, to be back on stage for a proper crowd, I haven't done that in like 18 months or something. So I think all of the guys, we had our final practice, like our final rehearsal yesterday, and we were like, all of us were super excited just to hit the road and go there and have fun.
Awesome. Well, to finish up, we're about to play In Cold Blood on our show again right now, but what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take another listen to this track, and also before they grab Blood Sacrifice tomorrow?
Well, first I want to thank everyone for listening to our music, which is it means a lot to us, and it's so awesome to see even from Australia down under, you guys are supporting us. So yeah, let me first say a big fucking thank you for that. And then if you listen to the song, then one of the highlights for me also as well is our guest vocals that we have on there with Mark Greve. He's an amazing death metal pioneer, so we're very happy to have him on the album and on the song as well. And so this song actually is the part where the priest goes completely insane and starts slaughtering his family. And one of the creepier parts, I thought, was where he's luring out his youngest daughter, and she's hiding from him and he can't find her, and then he's trying to lure her out by pretending it's all just a game and he wants her to join the fun, and then obviously he kills her as well. And then at the final end of the song, he's dragging the mother's remains, the mother through the remains of their dead children and killing her, because he thinks she's the instigator of all their sins. So she's getting the worst of it. So try and keep that in your mind when you're listening to this song. It's quite brutal.
Definitely. Well, Oliver, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I know a lot of our listeners can't wait to take a listen to this new album, and also